Armand's father, Julius, met Lenin at a political convention in 1905 and never publicly doubted the Bolshevik Revolution through his death in 1948. But the father started from the ground up on an assembly line in Connecticut, giving Armand a leg up so Dr. Hammer could paint his grand adventure as wonderfully profound. While not betraying his parents' socialist vision, he was realistic to what the future of capitalism would bring. Truth is, American citizenship gave him the world. Dr. Hammer wrote that in 1921, after Columbia Medical School, he skipped his NYU internship and altruistically bought an ambulance full of medical supplies to ship, along with himself, to the young Soviet Union. He mentions the trip was to also collect debts the Soviets owed his family's export company, but implies that the pyramid's top, Lenin, only noticed him in a report about a railway cleared of peasants so Hammer's goods and services could get through to his asbestos mining operation. Armand revealingly admits he refused to pay a bribe, so the station master who'd held up the train was shot on his behalf, ordered killed by a better-fed commissar, enforcing the rules on the station master, who was just as uselessly resentful as everyone else. One of many cited instances where all his life Hammer scratched his itch to use powerful people. So Dr. Hammer receives an audience with the man his father already knew, but the debt isn't brought up as beneath the integrity of the communist vision. That's Hammer's story, his strategic meeting that began his voyage of the acolyte to redeem his patron Lenin's revolutionary new economic policy that Stalin destroyed. What Hammer wants the reader seeing is his innocent connection between business and politics. I could stand behind if political life wasn't all subterfuge. In the middle, as he was, is still the middle. Hammer and historians credit his conversations and correspondence with Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov that spurred the doctor's further venture among the few independent capitalists called concessionaires, allowed to operate inside the young Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There was an American harriman and Germans did business, but Soviet citizens were reduced to shared servitude. Historians even assume Stalin knew pervasive commerce had advantages, but the stupidly simple dictatorship of the proletariat was easier for the paranoid to control. But under Lenin's umbrella in the bullish 20s, Hammer was also focused on zenith proportions and monopoly for himself. He didn't assemble Ford tractors, but insisted that only he should broker them to the Soviet Union. He admits these things of a very cozy, politically economic connection. You think communism was corrupted? Essentially, the revolution was always connected guys running a capitalism for some, with Stalin's slow salary a front for living like a king. Stalin's spacious attic was even luxurious compared to where most of his citizens slept. President Gorbachev is fond of what Lenin's NEP plan was supposed to have tried adapting capitalist realities to socialist principle. With everyone else in the country, Mikhail Gorbachev remembers growing up with pencils stamped Hammer from Armand's factory. What a guy! If life were squeaky clean, his heroic claims could be acceptably polished. Because I read a flaw for his time spent here. Hammer says he stayed away from Stalin until 1930, when he lost his mansion and businesses toward the end when he had to leave town. Still meaning Hammer lingered through 3 years of the kulak slaughter. Kulaks were also called NEP men. The successful capitalist farmers allowed private plots as part of Lenin's new economic policy. They then lost their lives and property to Soviet reprogramming. Dates are fuzzy about when they got around to liquidating everyone, but most were gone before Hammer left the country. Basically, it's corroborated. Death in Stalin kept Lenin's pragmatic use of capitalism from reaching much further than anecdotal history. But no matter how sourly Hammer admits he was treated, he stayed until 1930. Then his biography smooths over his decades as an American capitalist, when he had to have been a stooge, as demonstrated by the evidence he got out of Moscow alive. I don't care. Whatever Dr. Hammer was, as his father's son, he was in the middle. A miracle, along with his family, allowed to leave with profit from Russian artwork sold during the 1930s in department stores across America as compensation for his business's absorption by the Soviet government, Dr. Hammer writes. The cover story backs up the intrigue, intriguingly, of communism's Mickey Mouse, off to his next capitalist escapade. Lost in words, I was oblivious to my lame condition. The day was literally virtually great for me, and I wished the writing ambition bid all my friends to understand and leave me alone to think about what I just read. I was anxious to finish when the working day's end brought, of all people, Rodney first at 7 p.m. He brought both, but he was easily convinced to go for cigarettes and beer he still thinks he wants and needs. Forget it's a hospital. Rodney's a chronic who tried to get away with smoking in the window. At 7:20, I asked Chain and Squid to look for Rodney. Messengers shrewd enough to sneak back past moderate nurse station security. Who cared? We were left alone, privileged, with the door closed, while my impatient celebrity visitor had bothered to call ahead for an after-hours appointment. Since us active business people are never satisfied waiting for anyone. By 8 p.m., I accepted fate and watched the rest double take from my smiling stretched on the bed Rodney to me behind the open door in my cold hospital gown. My meant for undercover wear was a comfort to them. I would have changed and endured scolding for if an asphalt-scraped scab wasn't forming all the way up my right calf and thigh, with an ever so short stretch of actual skin where the knee indents the leg. Indents the side of the leg. The atrocity formed by the cars pivoting me into the shredding asphalt. Not being from among the metal-protected community with an opportunity to be saved by a safety belt, I keep impossibly wishing an airbag inflated around me when I left the bike and bounced off the car down the street. What a defeating experience otherwise. To cheer me up, Pam and Jim supplied the invigorating tangy spice taste that expanded Europe's known world. Indian food from 6th Street, where I officially became a bike courier that night my first dispatcher, Michael, celebrated my first $100 day. Both parties were equally nice, except I disagreed with the hospital's theme. When I said there's no efficacy in suing the richest person involved, it sounded like an announcement. I knew I'd painted myself as Pam's target, since Jim's girlfriend saw everything about messengering as negatives to fix. Jim, like the rest of us, had hung around too long, and that meant she had too. Pam said someone should pay, and Hammer can pay more. I double-stepped, telling her, I don't feel oppressed. South African diamond miners have it worse, which brought Pam's insight. So what? This isn't there. Wherever it's not good enough is not good enough. Pam should have been the great dictator. You're all so tough. No, Pam should have been the great dictator. Quote, you're all so tough. One accident levels you to paupers till cases are settled years later. Then you pay your debts to still be and have nothing. To still have and be nothing. Jim's wasn't an ordinary beer pause to respectfully watch his wife's triumph turn sad. Over an argument she'd won long before, her husband's co-worker Rodney piled his perspective on. Thrusting his media-cultivated index finger up in an everyman's imitation of great politicians, illustrating their significance, we told Rodney to keep his voice down. But Rodney said, we are not the bad guys. Who aims for people? Victims worthy of Olivier think we almost hit them. Traffic darters portray themselves 3 places at once, convinced the simpleton is a nuisance that can't be figured out. Per usual, smiling at the wrong spot, I asked Rodney. He interrupted. Greenway, don't say nothin'. He never lets me live down when we met, and he called me wild rookie. I told him to screw himself without me. I laughed because it's uncomfortable when you're not liked, though I said, Cop remembered you scared those women. Rodney said, never lets go, do you? Rodney said, see, never lets go, do you, Greenway? I told Squid I didn't want to come, and he shrugs at me. You bring it up again, I'm hitting you in your bad shoulder. The cop stopped me 9 times in a month, and every time took 20 minutes till he was tired of writing tickets. He wrote slow and winked for me to run to kick my ass. Jim pontificated like a veteran. Parting crowds is rookie bullshit kicks. Pam imparted, asshole. So Rodney, still staring at me, agreed to save face. An insult to my profession, imprinting fear on pedestrian minds. Jim added, hot dogs don't know what time it is. Hank suffered the consequences of that car barreling through. Huh, bud? Manhattan should have signs. Aggression is not tolerated. Acceleration is a privilege, not a right. Already soapbox, tall Jeremy said, good, Jim. Line up for the tidy life. People won't listen, especially to your signs. Jim laughed.